Hi, welcome to this tutorial on using Booklog's Ad Hoc Inventory method to count your inventory. In this video, we'll show you how to prepare for and perform a physical inventory in your store.
The ad hoc method of taking physical inventory is included by default in your Booklog POS and inventory management software. This tool can be used for perpetual inventory and cycle counts, as well as your annual physical inventory count using a cash register scanner. You'll be able to count blocks of inventory on the fly and review the counts before posting them to your quantities on hand. You can do this all while your store is open for business. The ad hoc method can be used to scan any part of your inventory in any order. You'll be able to either replace existing inventory quantities or append them. Scanned items that are not recognized by Booklog will be flagged immediately for review. You can report on all scanned inventory regardless of the order in which it was scanned.
Before you get started using the ad hoc method, consider the following. This method only works if you are able to reliably scan your inventory directly into Booklog. To do that, you'll need a scanner that can reach the inventory while staying connected to Booklog. A Bluetooth scanner or a wired USB scanner on a mobile Booklog station will work. You'll also need a stable network connection for Booklog. If you have a station that frequently drops its connection to the Booklog server, consider other options. It is important to save your progress frequently when using the ad hoc inventory method. If your scanner or local network connection fail, you will lose progress in your inventory count. Saving can be done by hitting the Submit button. The fastest way to count inventory with the ad hoc method is to scan each copy of your items to increment your quantities. For instance, if you have 5 copies of a book, you would scan each copy individually, or scan one copy 5 times. If you're planning to close the store to count your entire inventory, consider zeroing out your quantities on hand. This ensures that any items missing from your inventory are not included in your final inventory count. If you aren't sure how to back up your database, or if your backup process is still running, please consult your local tech contact or Booklog technical support to make sure your system is getting backed up.
One of the advantages of using the ad hoc method is that you can review your counts before submitting them. You can also decide whether those counts should be added to your existing quantity on hand or replace them. If you choose to append, your count will be added to the existing quantity on hand. Choosing replace will overwrite your existing quantity on hand with the new count. How do you know which is the best choice? You may have items that are shelved or on display in multiple parts of your store. Since the ad hoc method works best for submitting inventory counts in batches rather than all at once, you will submit different counts for the same item. Appending ensures that those counts are added together into one quantity. You should zero out your quantities on hand from the beginning if you plan to use append. If you don't have backstocked items in another location, or your items aren't all on display in multiple parts of the store, then replace is the easiest method. This method is best for cycle counts or taking inventory while you're open, since you don't need to zero out your quantities on hand.
Be sure you have a backup of your database either from the night before or the morning of your inventory. You should not move forward with the inventory process without a backed up copy of your database and log file that is accessible to you and that won't be overwritten by future scheduled backups. If you want to generate discrepancy reports after you count your inventory, you'll need to freeze your inventory before getting started. This means you'll tell Booklog to capture all your quantities on hand and save them in the background. Once your inventory is over, Booklog can compare those saved or frozen quantities with your inventory counts. The difference between the frozen quantities and your counted quantities will be your inventory discrepancy. If you're using the Append method, you'll need to zero out quantities on hand for either the entire store or by department. If you don't zero out your quantities on hand, then Booklog would add your scanned quantities to the existing ones and double your quantities on hand for each item.
Once you have a valid backup of your database, you can move forward with your inventory process. In Booklog, the inventory process starts in the Utilities menu. Click Utilities and choose Physical Inventory. To perform a physical inventory, you will start at the top of this window and work your way to the bottom. Your first step will be to freeze your existing quantities on hand, so you can compare them with your count after the inventory is over. Freezing your quantities before starting your inventory allows you to generate an inventory discrepancy report after the inventory is over. It allows you to spot any items you missed during the inventory process, or items that had inaccurate quantities in Booklog, either because of shrinkage or because they weren't received. After freezing the inventory, you should zero it out. Zeroing out your quantities on hand can't be undone, and this is one of the reasons it is essential to have a working backup of your database before the inventory starts.
Now you're ready to start scanning. You'll be scanning your inventory directly into the Ad Hoc Inventory window. As soon as you scan an item, you'll see the title information in the window. The Ad Hoc method assumes you will be scanning your inventory in batches or sessions. You'll scan a batch of your inventory, submit the counts into Booklog, then scan another batch. Each of these batches counts as a session. If Booklog does not recognize a barcode, the title information will be presented as none. You should remove the none from the Ad Hoc window, add the item to your inventory, and scan the item into the Ad Hoc window again.
To access the Ad Hoc Inventory interface, go to the Utilities menu and choose Ad Hoc Inventory. You don't need to do anything else to get started, just start scanning your items. You can count quantities in two different ways. You can scan each copy of an item individually, or press the Edit button to manually increase or decrease the quantity. When you scan a barcode that Booklog doesn't recognize, the title information appears as none. You can address this immediately or after you've scanned your entire batch before submitting your counts. To address a none item, first remove it from the Ad Hoc Inventory window. Next, go to your Inventory search window to add the missing item. You don't need to close the Ad Hoc window or submit your counts before adding a new item. Once the unrecognized item has been added into your system, rescan the barcode into the Ad Hoc window. You should now see the correct title information.
You may want to combine multiple scanning sessions into groups. You can do this by assigning a location code to each session. This allows you to generate a single report that includes multiple sessions. The location code can be used to identify physical locations, as well as categories or departments. When you submit your counts, you'll be prompted to name the scanning session. At this point, you'll be prompted to either append or replace the quantities. Now your counts have been posted to Booklog, and you can begin the next session.
If you want to generate a report on a scanning session or a location of your store, you can use the handheld device report. This will list the items you have scanned in the Ad Hoc Inventory window. You can report by session or by location code.
Once you have scanned, uploaded, and corrected all of your inventory, it's time to check for discrepancies and finalize. The Inventory Discrepancy Report will compare your newly uploaded counts to the quantities you froze at the beginning of the inventory. This report can show you if you missed scanning or uploading any fixtures, or if any quantities were misentered during your count. Look for patterns or mistakes on this report and correct them accordingly in Booklog. Continue to run this report until you've reconciled discrepancies. Then, you'll be ready to move on to the next report. The Inventory Detail Report will give you the current values of your inventory, including quantities, cost, and retail. You can run this report to get a detailed list of your entire inventory, or use the parameter screen to break it down by category, department, or vendor. This report is extremely flexible, and if you only need the numbers for your full inventory, you can run it by totals only. Congratulations, you're almost done. The last step is to clear the freeze on your inventory. This will remove all of your frozen quantities and clear your handheld device reports. So don't clear the freeze until you're completely finished.